Hey everybody, it's Paul from Alexander Knife Sharpening and Laser Engraving. Getting ready to do this little old timer. I just finished polishing, cleaning it up on the jewelry buffers and used the radial discs on it. This is an old high carbon one, but I always get a kick out of some of the notes I get from some of my clients. So this is an older client of mine who comes in and she wrote little notes about everything here, but the pocket knife's the last thing I have to do here. And I noticed it says pocket knife for my 99-year-old friend. How great is that? So 99-year-old guy's pocket knife. I think that's awesome. So we cleaned it up real nice for him. And we're going to do the sharpening of this right now. And this is a perfect example of something that I will use my small knife jig that I made myself out of a clamp. And then recently I showed you guys how you can 3D print this part yourself if you want it. And here is the jig we're going to be using. So it used to just look a little bit different when I originally built it. It had aluminum, but now that we have 3D printers available, I made this version. And I used the same filament for this that BAZ used to make his BAZ jig. He said he had the best success with PETG, so I made this one out of PETG. You can make it out of really any filament, but PETG does have a very nice kind of hard, smooth, plasticky feel to it. And I have just fallen in love with BAZ's jig. That thing is just awesome. The BAZ jig here. I shot a couple more things for him I'm going to send to him. This thing is just awesome. But this is my small knife jig that I've always liked, and we're going to use this to do this gentleman, this 99-year-old gentleman's little pen knife here. So let's get started on that, and I'll show you what I'm going to do here. It's pretty simple. All right, so this jig does use a Allen key to set it in there, but this has always been my most favorite way to sharpen a small, tiny knife like this. And we're gonna mount this the way we always do, tip to heel angle. We want, if there was an imaginary line going from that tip to the heel, and we just have a minor curve here, so we don't have to get too crazy with it. But I still like to get that best I can lined up like that. And this jig is just great. It's super flexible in the front. And once you get it, and you can lock back here in the heel if you have to. But once you get that going, man, it just does a beautiful, beautiful job. And this is extremely dull. You can tell this has not been sharpened in a long time. Now, I did lengthen this jig here. I gotta re-upload the file, but I did make a longer one. And this should work with the knife setter. I added I think it was about a 3/4 of an inch to it or so. Let's see. Yeah, so I made it long enough because I wanted to be able to use the Tormek angle setter. Just felt like it moved. I'm just checking to make sure. Yeah, all right, that didn't move. I thought my knife moved in that jig, but it didn't. Oh, you know what? That did move. Yep, I did not tighten that down enough. So we're gonna have to. That's always something to be careful of here and keep an eye on for. Make sure you're good and tight. Yeah, that was definitely too loose. I thought I felt something move there. That was my fault. I just didn't make that tight enough. And this thing will tighten like tight. Yeah. So there we go. That's better. That's not going to move now. Let me just double check here. Yeah, it just made a little tiny adjustment. Not much. 15, 16, 17. You know what? Let's try 18. Let's see where 18 is. I'm not sure if this was probably originally up around like 20 or if it was lower. That actually looks pretty good. Yeah, I like what I'm seeing there. This one's gonna be tough to see on camera. And I am grinding wet today. I'm gonna move you to the front. I got bombarded yesterday. So we had a snowstorm, and I was like, wow, this is great. Maybe I'm gonna get a little bit of a break, which is great because I have I had an important laser job come in, which will be on the laser engraving channel. It's gonna post probably later today. But it gave me a chance to focus on that particular job. All right, here we go. So let's get this old timer knife tuned back up for this 99-year-old gentleman. I'm not sure if that's his girlfriend or just friend, but I think that's pretty awesome that he's still using his pocket knife at 99 years old and wanting it sharpened. All right, so let me make sure we got enough fluid going here. So these are my CBN wheels wet. I do have some Tormek fluid in there. And this is a 200 grit CBN wheel. Sometimes I'll use 80 if it's really needs a lot of work. This is very dull. Yeah, no burr yet, but I do like my grind lines there. But this is a very, very dull knife. I probably could have started with 80. Okay, I'm gonna switch just so I'm staying even, but I think I'm gonna have to go back again to that side. Because I still hadn't got a burr yet. Okay, I'm seeing what might be the beginning of a burr there. Yeah, we're getting real close. All right, so now I'm gonna go back to this side. And I think if we go for about 7 times, I think we should have a good burr with maybe about 7 strokes. The reason I decided to do some wet grinding, with all the lasers over here now, I wanted to see if I could keep the dust down even more in the shop. I've been getting, a lot of dust lately. And you'll see here, unlike BAZ Jig, which has a really nice big end over here, I might redesign this and make this even bigger. Because I love this thing is just awesome. And I don't know how to put this part on there that he did there, but I would like to kind of do something similar with my small jig here. Maybe I could find a way to make this part, well, I know I can definitely make that bigger. Having made this, I know I can make that significantly bigger, and I don't think that would be a bad idea. I think it would make this work even better. Yeah, that looks good, and yeah, we have definitely apexed it. I can feel, another thing you'll feel even if you aren't feeling the burr, sometimes once you've done both sides, you feel the bite. Like, instead of being super dull, it starts to feel bitey. Is that a word, bitey? But you start to feel the bite from that blade digging in. That's another way you know, like, okay, yeah, we're there. We have it properly apexed. Let me see if I can show you this really nice bevel that we cut in here. One of the reasons why I love Tormek. There you go. Look at that beautiful bevel. Nice and even all the way down on both sides. It's a little long on this side here. A little long. This side actually looks a little bit better. But that tip also, that might be a little bit uneven. So sometimes you get that from a little thick side, and I'll probably get that evened out here on this right here. Okay, up to 600. Yeah, some of that will probably come down as I work on that tip. Although it feels good. It feels really good. Yeah. So probably just need to spend a little bit more time on this particular side right here. So I'm seeing a great burr all the way across forming. We are good there. I'm going to do a little bit of tip work here, just a little bit. I want to get a little bit more pressure on it. So I'm going to actually add my finger up here to get that extra pressure. And it's just light pressure I'm adding there. Just trying to thin that long tip out. How I told you, like the two sides didn't match there. And just because it was a little uneven. Yeah, that looks, there we go. We got that pretty well even. I'm gonna do maybe 3 little tiny strokes here. That's good. Okay. This is a 1000 grit. I'm probably only gonna do just a couple strokes here. It's not gonna need much here. I didn't even move the camera. 2 strokes maybe each side. I still want to leave some bite to this. That should be enough. Getting lots of text messages with Christmas coming now, and it has been busy. It really has. All right, we just gotta strop this, but let me show you the bevel now. There you go. Looks good, right? Show you this side. And you can see we evened that out now. How it was a little long, now it's nice and even all the way across. That looks great. Now we're just gonna do a little bit of quick stropping. I'm gonna pull it out of its jig. This was a huge batch of serrated knives from this client, except for this one pocket knife. And that's the one I'm showing you, is the pocket knife. And she sent in all 4 serrated knives. 2 of them are from her friends. Give me a little light there. All right, there we go. This, the other week I told you guys about, I mentioned it, I think it was in the video showing the small knife jig. This is, I mentioned my dad always carrying a really small pocket. This is exactly, it's probably the same brand that my dad carried. This is an old timer, and this looks exactly like what my dad carried. Only difference, my dad's had 2 knives in it. It had this blade, and it had a little tiny blade on the other side. So it had 2 knives, but it was this color. It was high carbon. It literally looked just like this. So I suspect the one that I know my dad carried all those years, it was probably an old timer like this one. All right, so let's see here. How we doing? Yeah, push cutting nice. Let's do a little slice. Yeah, that feels great. All right, this is done. So there's the Small Knife Jig again, just to show you it another time. And that file is free. It's on my website. If you have a 3D printer, you can print it out yourself and give it a shot. The more I use BAZ's jig, the more I think I will probably make a version 2 or 3 of my little small knife jig here too, because I think widening that base, even as big as BAZ's, would still be great for this. So I think I might make that change to my jig. Mine is, whoever 3D printed BAZ's, his guy, way more skill with the 3D printer than I have. Mine works, and you know, his is actually a joy to use. This is one, it works really well, but I wouldn't say that I have the same level of 3D printing skills as the person that made BAZ's jig for him. But very happy with the results there. And for those of you that do not like the Tormex small knife jig, which I have always hated, this is an option for you. And all you need is a 3D printer to be able to print that out. And then I have linked in there where you can get the clamp from. And the clamp's the most expensive part. If you have a 3D printer, if you don't have a 3D printer, well, yeah, that's a little different. Then you would have to get a 3D printer, or just find someone with a 3D printer who will print it for you. All right, I'll talk to y'all soon.